Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
The Flyers stopped the bleeding by winning 4-1 against the Anahiem Ducks at home to continue the hot streak at the Wells Fargo Center, which blows my mind because it's not as if anybody is in the building anyway. And that's something I want to get into when it comes to this game. Where was everybody? How come fans are not showing up to support this team? I also want to look at the Minnesota Wild game and the Winnipeg Jets game as well because I didn't get a chance to talk about that. I'm not going to dive into what exactly happened, but there are a couple key points I want to hit on. The big thing, though, is the Flyers stopped the bleeding, and it's not as if the Flyers are down in the standings and buried in the standings. They're 18-11-5. They're not in a bad spot, even though they're coming off of a bad road trip where they didn't win a game. 18-11-5. They're still in a good spot. They're fine as long as they get back together, get on the right track. I know it was an emotional, tough time for this team. That's why they get a benefit of the doubt. They find out about Oskar Lindblom, which is a very, very, very sad thing that occurred, and it's very understandable for them to be shook by what happened. So, not only that, they end up losing Scott Law and Tyler Pitlick. They were down bodies due to injury in the game as well. So, all around, it was a tough spot for them. I'm not going to knock them. I completely understand it. That's something you can't prepare for. Finding out news like that, you can't prepare for that. It's just about how will they come together and how will they push forward moving through the season. So before we talk about all of this, I need to let you know how I can give you free money. If you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page when buying tickets, you get $20 off of your total purchase, which you can use towards parking, beer, food. It's a no-brainer to use the promo code BROADS today. The Anahiem Ducks win by the Flyers. When I say that, I'm saying the win by the Flyers against the Anahiem Ducks was very solid. A 4-1 win. They were in control. Carter Hart came up big. He made 40 saves, but all around the Flyers looked really solid. In Winnipeg and in Minnesota, things happened. And it revolves around Joel Farabee. So in the Minnesota Wild game, Joel Farabee drops the gloves with a legit fighter in this league. And I thought to myself, why is he doing that? Fighting is strategic. There are times for it. Not only are there times for it, but you got to be smart about who you choose to fight and if you can handle your own. Joel Farabee is not at that point yet. There's a difference between giving someone props for stepping up against a fighter and just being stupid and running off of emotions. And I think that's what he was doing. So in that moment, he gets pumped, he gets destroyed, and I didn't like him picking that spot to drop the mitts. There are good times and bad times to fight. I didn't see the value in that. Plus, he got his face pumped in. I mean, there's nothing about it. Like, you don't get much respect after you get pummeled, even though it's against someone who fights all the time. So then you fast forward to the Winnipeg Jets game, and he has a brutal late hit on an opponent. Did it deserve 3 games? I don't think so. He's not a repeat offender. There are so many other things in this league that happen where the players just get fined or they're only suspended 1 game. That was a bad hit. I truly disliked it. There was no reason for it whatsoever, and it showed his frustration. That was him being frustrated. Once again, 3 games, a little much, but totally worthy of getting looked at, fined, suspended 1 game or so. It had to be looked at and addressed. Those 2 scenarios tells me that he's having a hard time right now handling his emotions. Also known as Nick Pivetta. He is the Nick Pivetta of the Flyers. And if you don't know who that is the Phillies pitcher who has all this promise, but he can't figure it out emotionally. He pouts, he whines coming off of the mound. It's a joke. It's a dumpster fire. I'm not going to that degree with Joel Farabee. I'm just putting it in comparison as, that's what it can potentially be. Joel Farabee is a very skilled player. But if he's going to be running around doing all this dumb stuff based off of not being able to handle himself, it can cause problems for this team. Once again, let me be clear. I'm not saying that's what he 100% is, but I'm seeing moments where that is happening. Suspended 3 games now. The fight wasn't a smart fight. I'm seeing it. part of a professional athlete is being able to handle yourself and control yourself. Now, something like learning Oskar Lindblom's situation, can that play a factor? Can he have that all bundled up can he have that bundled up inside of him where it's really hurting him inside, and that's what's changing his personality on the ice? It's very possible. And I know he's young. He's in his teens. There's a lot to learn. Not just based off emotions, but based off this game. Because some of these players come from juniors and all that, where they're the man, they're the best, and they can fight anyone, and they can score all these goals. Well, this is a different league, so there's still so much to learn. But I didn't like what I saw out of Joel Farabee in those two moments. So let's fast forward to this game against the Anahiem Ducks. When it comes to Oskar Lindblom, what the crowd did with the signs and the tribute video was there, I was crying. I was in tears seeing that happen. The connection with the fan base is unbelievable, with the hockey community as a whole, the NHL as a whole, all the other teams reaching out and showing support. He's not in it alone. There are so many, and realistically, all of the hockey community supporting him, praying for him, hoping that he will one day beat this and be able to return. It's just a travesty. It really is. It's truly devastating to hear what happened. He was having such a great year, and he was finally turning into something really solid, and it's so heartbreaking. It really is. I pray for him. When it comes to the building and the arena in tonight's game, it was so empty. It crushed me inside. This is supposed to be a Flyers fan base that is so passionate and will do anything to show their support for this team. They have supported way worse teams in the past. Don't tell me it's because there's no more fighting in hockey. Because on 97.3 ESPN, Billy Schweim all the time on the weekends, he's an older gentleman. He's back in the 70s, 80s, Broad Street Bully days. He thinks that there's no one there because of fighting. That's just not the case. There's no way that 15,000 or 10,000 people didn't show up because there's no fighting in the game. There's a disconnect between the organization and the fan base. They're targeting the wrong people. Gritty, the rage room. It's not about the game anymore. They're not targeting the game. They're not selling the consumers what hockey's all about. They're trying to get people in here based off of the arena, and it's not really working that way. But it blows my mind because Flyers fans are their own community in the city. The Sixers, Eagles fans, they're all one. The Phillies fans is part of that. The Flyers community, it's a hockey community. So why is it they're not supporting this team? This is one of the best teams we have had in so long. For some reason now they're not doing it. They're not supporting. Is it because the ticket prices are going up? The Flyers organization are being scummy. They're taking away privileges for season ticket holders, so they're not treating their own properly. That's what it seems to be for me. It's not about the product on the ice, which is the sad thing because the product is actually good. There's no reason why that building should be that empty on a Tuesday night. Don't give me it's the holidays. Don't give me nothing because this fan base has supported this squad for so many years. Don't tell me it's because of mediocrity, right? Don't tell me it's because this team has been mediocre for so long. Because this team, this 18-11-5 squad, they aren't. They are not mediocre. They're better than that. And this Flyers fan base understands good hockey. This is good hockey. Who cares what happened 5, 6, 7 years ago? That shouldn't factor into what the product is on the ice now. More people should be there. It irritates me. Let's get on to the game, since I got that out of my chest. Travis Konecny returns. Did you not see the difference? I absolutely did. The energy, the speed, knowing he's back, the ability to score, the ability to make plays, the chirping, the physicality. TK brings it all. And boy, was it a factor because he generated the first goal for the Flyers. Now, there were no goals in the first period, but there was a Chris Stewart fight, so Stewie dropped the mitts. Now, it's funny, everyone's talking about how much hockey's taking away fighting, yet how many fights have there been throughout the season so far for the Flyers? It's still in the game. So it's not as if they take it away completely. If you are a fan of fighting, it's still involved. And let me be clear, I do think fighting should be involved in the game to an extent, but to where it is now, I think it's fine. It doesn't have to be completely out of the game. To where it is now, though, there's still enough fights where it's entertaining, but it's not out of the game as a whole. But anyway, the first period, no goals, but there was a Chris Stewart fight. There was some action back and forth. No one was able to put the biscuit in the net. Second period, this play was absolutely outstanding. Claude Giroux scores on a tap-in backdoor play, but coming into the zone, the Flyers with great execution, moving the puck. It goes from the left wall over to Travis Konecny, who pretends to shoot it with his body, but then sends it over to Claude Giroux, who taps it in. It was actually sick to see the team enter the zone with a mindset of making a beautiful play. We haven't seen that in so many years, which goes back to my point, how come people aren't supporting this team? But let's move forward, because I can yell about that for literally 6 hours. In the same period, Kaše ends up getting his first NHL goal. He's sitting net front with his stick on the ice. Travis Sanheim throws a biscuit on net. He redirects it, celebrates big time into the corner, and scores against his brother. Not saying his brother's the goalie, but his brother's on the Anahiem Ducks. His family's in town. They traveled from Czech Republic. It's not as if they can walk out their front door and take a bus down to Philadelphia, so it was a big investment for them to come to this game. He ends up scoring, so it's so cool to watch a player score their first NHL goal, get their first NHL point, hit a big milestone. You see their raw, natural reaction involved, so it was just an awesome moment. Morgan Frost ended up getting the secondary assist on that, and Alain Vigneault, after the game, praised how solid and how smart Morgan Frost was in this game, and deservingly so, because I thought all around he competed at a high level and produced as well. But before that period ended, Raquel ended up scoring on the power play to make it 2-1. The Flyers took five penalties in this game, which allowed the Ducks to get 5 power plays. Of course, that's how that works. It's too much. You will not be successful, for the most part, when you take that many penalties. And they weren't smart penalties either. Not that there's ever smart penalties, but some you live with, being aggressive, making a hard hit that was a little bit on the roughing side or whatever. You live with those to make a statement. These were lazy, not intelligent. One of them coming from Matt Niskanen late in that third period. Not late in the third period. It was in the third period, which is late in the game. But you know what I'm saying. Needs to be better. Absolutely. Now, when you have someone like Carter Hart in between the pipes making 40 saves, it definitely helps, but it's not a recipe for success in the long term, so we can't continue to do that as a team. Carter Hart, though, wow, phenomenal. And it wasn't as if he was making these saves where he's sprawling all over the ice, diving around, unbelievable glove saves, but he was so sound and he was so professional. Really, that's what it is. And he's developing every single game. He's so smooth and strong. It looks easier than what it really is. We're just getting used to Carter Hart doing that on a consistent basis. So, we need to realize, wow, this kid is so special. The Flyers actually might have something here. You smell that? You smell that? You smell that? It smells like a goaltender in Philadelphia. A possibility of having something that this franchise haven't had in 3 million years. But let's go to the third period. Voracek on a 2-on-1 executes. Now, I don't know what the Ducks were trying to do. A drop pass, whatever. Voracek ends up picking it up, going down the wall, 2-on-1, and with a blistering wrister, blows it by the Ducks, 3-1. The Flyers are up 2. And then Couturier ended up putting in an empty netter eventually, with Giroux and Provorov getting the assist. So 4-1, and it was all around a good performance. The effort level was there. They were creating opportunities. I think Travis Konecny really provided a spark. I thought Carter Hart did the same thing. It was a good, solid home win. They have Buffalo coming to town on Thursday. This team plays really solid at home. Things got ugly on that 3-game trip. It's time to just put it behind them and move in the right direction. Things happen that you can never really expect to happen. Emotionally, it's just on another level during that time. Not that it has changed. It hasn't been long enough to change. It's still very raw and powerful. But when it first hits, that's when that road trip happened. And it's just such a it's such a weird time emotionally for those guys because it's just so rough and so hard hitting and so sad, and they feel for him, and it's such on a personal level, something that we can't even comprehend because we're not in the locker room. We didn't go through training camp. We didn't grow with him as a person and as a player like those individuals did. You got to put it behind them. You got to allow for them to go through a skid like that. But it seems as if with this victory, they put themselves in a good position to move forward and to continue to play good hockey. They lost a lot of bodies as well physically from injuries on the ice, and that played a factor. They were hurting. They were hurting to score goals. They couldn't find rhythm. They couldn't really move the puck. I talked about how they generated scoring chances, how they entered the zone in this one with creativity, moving the puck. They weren't able to do that because they didn't have the skill set. They didn't have the players. Just adding someone like Travis Konecny really sparked this crew, and we need him. One thing that I think this team lacks is a pure goal scorer. Though I'm not going to tell you Travis Konecny is on the same level as, say, I don't know, Patrick Laine when it comes to a blistering shot, or Austin Matthews when it comes to putting it, behind netminders. But he's the closest thing to it that we have. So with him being back in the lineup, it adds a ton of value. Someone else I thought played strong but didn't really show up on the score sheet was Kevin Hayes. I thought Kevin Hayes had plenty of opportunities. I think he's starting to really turn into his own here. He's learning his role. He's learning his identity. He's getting more minutes because of these injuries and whatnot, so you're seeing him move up in the depth chart. But I think he's playing a strong game, a strong two-way game. He's getting more time in the offensive zone, more chances, just not burying maybe as much as he would like. But all around, I think he had a solid one in this game. Couple players had 2-point nights. The plus-minus looked good on some guys. So all around, it was a successful one. Can they do it against a Buffalo squad? That's the real question. Buffalo coming off of a loss in Toronto. Buffalo's in a weird spot because they started out hot, then they went on a little bit of a funk. Jack Eichel has been unbelievable. What are they? What are they? They seem to be this team that always comes out hot and then dies out as the season goes on. Well, they did that. They did exactly that. And then they became hot again, though. They normally don't do that. What are they? Are they a legit playoff team? Are they not? Are they fake? We'll find out. They're coming to town. And hopefully, just hopefully, there's more fans in the stadium. More fans in the arena, because that irritates me. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.